Welcome back, guys. We are here after that bit of a break. Tempt able to pick up the MVP. Looks good on the Lissandra. Was deathless for a while. Didn't end up dying towards the end in that one. But definitely the story of that game was Jin Air once again having a good early game and not able to stop themselves from making mistakes to actually get another win here. They've only had one game victory. Hanwha Life looking to stop them from even getting a second.
And the reality is that those good early games are memorable, but there's also poor early games, and unfortunately they haven't been able to fight back either. So, gotta take your chances when you can make them, and unfortunately Jin Air haven't been able to do that. I will recognize, remember, that Tempt has played many fewer games than Lava, at least in the LCK on Hanwha Life this season. Comes in, and his TPs were very good on Lissandra, and I feel like that is not always something we can take for granted on a setup champion that's so good. She's able to find a flank, so well engineered is her introduction to the team fights, and thus a nice MVP for Tempt. Feels bad to have Lava on the sidelines, but he will stay on the sidelines for game number 2, as now, with Hanwha Life moving to the blue side, we'll see how the draft changes. See if we can get any new picks, and maybe away from the Papa Smithy disapproved Vladimir Shen.
Yeah, I mean, it did pick up another win, but it lost the early game pretty horrendously up against Jin Air. So it does tell you a bit about what is going on with that lane.
Hanwha Life. Action on the blue side here. Bans in game number 1 on red side. Aatrox, Cassio, Lucian. So we'll see where they're at. Is alright, kind of a cold Aurelia ban out of nowhere. There was no Aurelia priority in game number 1. Maybe Tempt wants to play as Zoe. That would be a reason to ban away Aurelia. Kind of reminds me of that Braum ban into orange support we had from Griffin earlier in the season.
It always tells a story, right? And Zoe has been a blind pick for a while on the blue side, so maybe you are onto something here, Papa.
It's just Aurelia was not even considered based on power level or game 1 in any way. Yeah. And then it's cold ban first. Tells you it's not just, it doesn't feel random, right? It feels like it's calculated, so that's where I'm at. And I feel like Aurelia's still good at bursting mages. That's kind of what she does on this patch before she doesn't do much on the next patch. Cassio ban, and Jin Air going to stick with the Tahm Kench ban that Key, again, had played in all victories until he picked up that support Shen victory.
Yeah. No more Tahm Kenki's Love House. Not in this series, Papa Smithy.
No one watching this knows that reference.
Gotta bring back the Spo TV reference.
It was one Spo TV match day in spring of last year, but it's great.
It was a good one. You know, shout out to those guys who made that happen.
Still actually involved in some of the behind-the-scenes stuff here. Spo TV doing a couple of side things to the main broadcast. Kali band on blue side. And what do Hanwha Life want to first pick? Lucian is up, and that would be pretty simple. So I would like the Lucian here, but Urgot it was always going to be considered, right? Especially with Aatrox banned away, so I'm sure that's what they're between. They settle on the Lucian.
You'd always pick up Lucian, let Jin Air play Urgot, and then you just pick up Sion. We'll see if that's what they want to do, but the Urgot seems pretty obvious. I've always mentioned how it is always the first or second pick that very rarely seems to get banned. Urgot himself, if he was a real person, I'm sure he would be very happy about how many times he has seen the Rift this time around.
Well, literally saw the Rift 0 times in what, Season 1 and Season 8.5, like right at the end of Season 8.
Finally!
He was played in, you know, around WCG 2010 meta, and then got that nerf where he could no longer just randomly spam his Q outside of vision, and then was never played basically again for so long, so...
He's playing the long game, you know?
There's 1 or 2 metas where he was a situational counter pick, but he gets his time in the sun. I'm sure there'll be a heavier nerf at some point, and goodbye, we will say, to the Crab God. And actually, maybe Root will be jumping on an awesome dude of his own, because when you see it this early, he's probably wave clearing against Illusion.
It's definitely the feel. Could have waited to pick that one up. Maybe it could have been banned by Hanwha Life, though, so they want to make sure that they do get it early and maybe not show anything else, as Sion response is a thing in this series, as neither team going to ban out either Urgot or Sion.
Will we see a Zoe lock-in on the blue side for Hanwha Life? It's really the only thing I have at the forefront of my mind. It's going to be a later thing. Key's taking a lot of support bans, so he'll be happy, actually, to get a playmaker here. And the Lifesteal duo, Lucian and Thresh on the bot side. That's a lot of power. Seems like Victor will be wave clearing next to it without a Tom Kench. It's just going to be Braum first round to find a support here. The Alistar will be more bold, but hoping the Victor can just stay in safety.
It's definitely the idea. The Alistar good up against the Thresh, at least, especially after level 6. But also, I mean, just looking at Kellen's play from game 1, he looked really good overall. I wouldn't say that it was his fault that his team did lose. Even in some of the later game fights, he always seemed to be in the right position doing his job. So can't really fault them for saying, hey, Kellen, you looked good on that pick. Let's try it again.
So far, looking pretty stock standard on both sides here for Hanwha Life and Jinair in the first round. Jungle picks needed on both sides. Jinair could just have Malrong return to a champion that, again, he's looked good on, but hasn't found victories in the Xin Zhao. And put comfort or coverage bans for the Xin Zhao on the red side here. So far, Olaf is a nice one to get off the board.
And will Hanwha Life bother to ban out something like that? Certainly could try to target it towards the end, but instead the Lee Sin will be banned by Jinair.
Still a real chance that Victor doesn't go bot lane. That's what the Kai'Sa pick here is kind of prodding at with the Kai'Sa ban, on the blue side. Comes to bot laners for Root. Will not be the Kai'Sa, which has been his bread and butter so far this season. Actually, no other more than one pick champion than Lucian and Kai'Sa for Root. And he's actually going to take a Vladimir ban, just compositionally. Not wanting to see that on the side of Jinair. Don't think we've seen Vlad and Victor together so far in LCK Spring. It's been one or the other. So Jinair, Xin Zhao open if they want it. Again, it hasn't been winning, so you also would understand going Elsa, but I've liked Malrong's play individually. He was the first. And his Hail of Blades, Xin Zhao got first blood on Khan in that SKT series right at the start of the season. So far, so good from Jinair. Action on Hanwha Life. Bit of a shout out to our boy Viper, friend of the English broadcast with the Teemo hover.
You know, if Sangin smiling that he's usually a mischievous guy, but he's not going to be doing anything like that, as Lissandra will be picked up here.
It was Zoe after all, happy enough with the Lissandra. Final action is jungle, and they've taken a long time to think about this one. Could take Jax. Would be definitely compositionally an answer to Xin Zhao, a nice skirmishing matchup. Could take Nocturne and start pulling the trigger on a lot of aggression. Everyone goes in here and has a great time doing it, and it will be the Nocturne after all.
Definitely full speed ahead for the side of Hanwha Life, and it's nice. I mean, it's fun. At least the team fights are very straightforward from the side of Hanwha. It's hard to mess that up.
Feels like either Root or Grace was going to be lumped on Victor duty against hard engaged City, which sucks to be playing, and they decided to pick their poison and put Grace on the Victor this time. Is a Grace player in solo queue, and in the past, I guess it could also
a Grace
be top
player.
Lane. Sorry, a Victor player. See the lane assignments here. Could in fact be Urgot after all, if that's what they want to do, and just make it about top side dives instead of mid side dives. Seems like just somebody had to catch the Victor, which is not exactly what you want against a Nocturne draft. It ends up, we'll see it 20 seconds, either mid or top. Right now, confirmation, it will be top lane, so Linderong definitely going to have lane priority early, and early is when Malrong is most likely to strike on the Xin Zhao.
It's kind of interesting because we did just see Grace play a big beefy boy in the mid lane in the Scion in game number 1. This time he's going to be hopping onto Urgot, and before today, he's been playing pretty much nothing except, you know, a bunch of carries, one game of Lulu, one game of Galio, but other than that, a lot of just normal mid lane stuff and not the tanky guys. But switching it up for today, just moving on to Scion and then Urgot, just saying, okay, I can't die if I'm really tanky.
As that single victory on the Scion so far does Linderong before today, and then Tal has the 1-0 scoreline. So it's going to be top laners looking for their best sword impressions. I like Jinair's draft. I think they have some very nice pieces here, but the Victor feels like it was going to be the unsteady point somewhere. Good read by Hanwha Life to think it wasn't going to be bot lane from Root, away from his Kai'Sa, away from some of the other picks that he's been going for. Can the Victor run away with the lane, or will we just wait to level 6 and see the paranoia herald the end of Jin Air Green Wings?
We'll have to wait and find out, guys, as we are going to hop onto the Rift for game number 2 now. The Jin Air faithful remain. Always have to shout out to them even after a rough loss in game number 1 and only 1 game win in 6 series so far.
Big shout out all around the world to any Jin Air League of Legends fans. Obviously in StarCraft, you would know this well. They had some up moments, but when it comes to Korean esports, League of Legends, no up moments. I mean, if you think about it,
StarCraft is fantastic.
In Jin Air and League of Legends, biggest kind of triumph was being so close, couple of series away, maybe just one. It was either 1 or 2 series away from qualifying for 2015 Worlds, which would have been a big accomplishment for an org that otherwise has always been around, had multiple teams in the sister team era. There was, of course, the Green Wings, and before that, the Stealths and the Falcons were around, and so they've always been involved in League of Legends. Some very famous players passed through this organization, of course. At times, Reaper was on this org, Captain JAG spent time on Jin Air. A lot of names passed through, but just no results. As right now, we're seeing Grace coming into lane. Has Tempt, a lot of trading already.
Tempt had to use an extra swig of the corrupting pot.
What do you reckon corrupting pot tastes like?
Tastes like
is it just grape juice? It's
magenta.
Purplish, right?
It's like purple red. There's a specific color. I don't know what it is. I'm not a color expert.
Okay, what about the effect of, all right, you feel healthier and you feel a bit more empowered? Like, is this like a Red Bull we got going on here? Like,
kind of. We're not sponsored by any specific organization. But
and that's why we can talk about them equally, Valdez. I just want to know what corrupting potion tastes like.
It's definitely some kind of energy drink in my mind.
Because the corrupting part of it, where it's you shouldn't be drinking as much of this as you do.
It has effects on you, but at the end of the day, probably not very healthy. But I guess in that sense, you should probably lose health if you drink it. So.
Well, speaking of losing health.
Okay. That's all I got. That was the end. Yeah.
You've been practicing your play-by-play, I see. Beautiful stuff there, Valdez.
Good response flash by Tempt. That's what I'll say about that. You know, may not have seen it coming, but is able to get out of harm's way in time.
Jin Air right now on the front foot, which we like to see, especially with a Xin Zhao. It's going to end up being a trader bus, after all. The musical chairs ends with both junglers picking up a blue, and hide and go seek is definitely always a bit talked about when it's a Nocturne ult with Paranoia, but it's what Nocturne wants to do against Xin Zhao. It's very much the wait a while jungler against the right now jungler, and any trading, happy news for the Nocturne, who's bot side as his bot lane pushes up.
Gigantic wave coming in here. They're going to get a really nice trade too, as Kellen, see you later to half your health bar. Does have 2 potions, should be totally fine, but more importantly, the plate does go down very early, before even 4 minutes. And so, nice amount of gold will go to the bullies in the bottom side with that Lucian Thresh lane.
And if you had missed the Pulverize there and not got the Aftershock proc, you actually lose most of your health bars. So, actually it was just a good move straight up on the hook coming through from Key, and able to get it, as you say. The potion's down. Any advantage is significant, and taking out a potion from an Alistar, a champion whose sustain is gated by minion waves most of the time, something you feel really good about.
Double dank seal in the mid lane for Lissandra. Haven't actually tried this build out myself.
It's just the most power you can buy for 700 gold. It's way better than any other options. You could, for example, consider Doran's Ring and Cloth Armor, and that does give you battle stats, but you're able to push a bit harder with this build. You just feel good about it, and that's just kind of the tenure of these lanes. Lucian Thresh, what do they want to do? Pressure, take every advantage they can get. Turret plate, health trade, Alistar potion, whatever you can get. Double Dark Seal plays into that in the mid lane, and Sion in the early game, while he's going to be grinning and bearing it a bit, is also going to push the wave from time to time. That all means time where Bono, yes, is not Xin Zhao and is ganking, but is getting closer and closer to level 6. and you can play more informed when that ability is available.
Bono trying to hit level 6 here as fast as possible, looking at a second Scuttle Crab in the top side. It's not always too often that you get one of these up against a Xinjiao, as Malrang is going to spot this, and Key is here from the bottom lane. They want to fight right now. They'll take anyone they can get here, as No Hook is going to come in. Nice buffer on that one, as Grace is in a lot of trouble. The Fear comes in, and Key, the bloodthirsty support, will steal first blood.
And that play, out of context, looks like just a straight-up overextend from Grace. And with full information, yes, it is. But consider the variable that Grace did not know clearly when you watch the replay. Did not know that Thresh was around, because that changes the play. Watch the play here and assume Thresh is not here. Because as the play happens, Grace is like, I want to walk up, allow Xinjiao to get out, and then buffer my E to escape, because it does override CC. With that part, you're like, okay, Grace, I can see what you're doing. Thresh is there, makes him look silly, he goes down, and that's a little bit of communication that's lacking on a team that only has 1 game victory and 11 game losses.
I think it was also good timing from Key. It looked like they had just gone for a back, so that's always the sneaky timing as support, especially if you can pick up some boots, and generally you do. If you notice there's going to be a big fight, the communication comes in saying, hey, I really want to get the Scuttle Crab. I want to hit level 6 as fast as possible. They get Key up there, and it's just a nice play overall from Hanwha Life. We're looking much better in Game 2 early game compared to Game 1, where they got kind of bopped. They have a much stronger bottom lane, and they're making use of it.
And that's what I think you should approach games you're expected to win, is to play proactive early comps that play into the current meta. And, you know, it's not a nice thing to do, but it's to flex a bit. It's to play aggressive. It's to develop skills that will suit you against more difficult opposition. Because, yes, you scale through in 1 with Vladimir Shen, but it's more about the enemy's mistakes at the early game than your own good plays. By the end, we're able to make some good moves. That's something that you can't repeat against other opposition and expect to find many good news stories. Here we are in this game. They've gone more proactive. They've got some winning lanes. They're building for them with things like Double Dark Seal. And from there, the gold might reign for the side of Hanwha Life.
Level 6 taken here by Bono. Not going to go on to Grace. His flashes are back up just about now. As you can see, both Tempt and Grace going to get them at the same time. So they'll be looking for an aggressive play in the enemy jungle. Immediately, you can see Tempt is on the map as well. They'd be looking for Malrang, but he's playing very far back. And no gank will come off just yet.
Linderung under turret, respecting the Nocturne, and of course getting the confirmation with the sweeper there that he is top side. Juno have no vision on the top side, but they do have the ward that I'm assuming is not controlled by the control ward on the bottom right of your screen you'll notice in the pixel brush. So I believe that should spot Nocturne when he's bottom side. If you can't see him on a ward, assume he's on the top side of the map, and that's why Linderung playing oh so respectfully.
Yeah, and he'll be just fine to do that. His only job is to not die. Fortunately, struggled with that a little bit in game number 1. He was on the Akali. Remember, he was at 0-3-1 at some point. A couple mistakes made in that long lane you were talking about in the bottom side.
A lot of stuff happening here. Key roams through, but Malrang finds Sangyu. Gonna get away quite easily. Problem that you'll see for Linderung is, are we gonna see the trigger pulled here? He's out of mana. This is definitely the time to go.
That he is, and they're going for the safest way. They want to slowly chip him out first. There's the flash to get away, but still no turret aggro to the side of Hanwha Life. They're just going to wait for Tempt to make his way up, and Linderung is able to get his ultimate out, but still in a lot of trouble here as they use all their abilities. And Aftershock on the Lissandra makes her so easy to stay alive. Only an Ocean Drake in the trade, but that's a lot of turret plates and a kill to the side of Hanwha Life.
And you know what? It also plays into, don't take unnecessary risks. Just do it how you would do it against anyone else. They don't go for what looked like an 85% play with 2 people. They say, yep, let's guarantee this kill. Against other teams, Lissandra would be there for the roam. They could have gone in with Nocturnal and blown a flash with it. Instead, they say, Sion for sure will get flash. Lissandra's coming up already. With the wave, as you notice, pushed in, it's not going to actually push. They're not going to lose any minions from the Lissandra roam. It's very well executed by the side of Hanwha Life, and they'll take the immediate gold. And the growing problem I see, Valdez, is that Victor goes down. Victor's playing respectfully. Victor doesn't have a CS lead. In this game, Paranoia's popped, so Victor can't really TP at the time he wants to, and he's a defensive TP user against Initiator Sion, Initiator Lissandra.
Yeah.
The chances of Victor actually being able to do something good in the 5 are stacked against Linderung, and he's behind.
Well, that sounds really bad, Papa Smithy. That doesn't sound like a good place you want to be in. Keep in mind also that Victor was their second pick in the, I mean, he was first round essentially on the red side. So they really wanted to play the Victor. You thought it made sense in the bottom side up against Lucian, just push him back. But in the top side now, he's having a not so good time up against this, you know, counter essentially.
Basically what happened though is that Victor was picked kind of like when you pick a player for, say, you know, a pickup game, and then the pro team rolled in, and they're like, oh, we've already got Victor. He has to go somewhere, and it was either going to be bot lane in a bad matchup or mid lane in a bad matchup. Like, someone had to pick up Victor at the end, and unfortunately, he's top lane. He seems like he's going to be in a struggle, and the Xin Zhao moves haven't paid off around him as Victor has struggled.
Yeah, they haven't really been able to get much going, and now Bono and the rest of Hanwha Life say, hey, we want to go for the Rift Heralds here on time, make sure we can push our early lead. They call up Key. They're already winning the top side of the map, and they deny all the vision. Doesn't look like Jin Air want to come in here and challenge this at all, in fact. So Hanwha Life will just get a free objective.
Very hard for Jin Air to have much control top side after Linderung splashes down, like we mentioned, so he goes up this area, tar roams first, and it ends up being a freebie for the side of Hanwha Life Esports. Question now for Jin Air that the fans and also the players will be asking is, how do we get something of our own? Because right now it feels like they're trying to lose the minimum, right? Right now it feels like a lot is slipping out of their fingers, like the sands of time moving away from them. And my focus would be around the mid lane, Xin Zhao and Urgot. If they can move through control vision, it's hard to be tracked by any one person. You do have quite a lot of burst damage there and the ability to get that execute kill with Fear Beyond Death. No Drake yet, so that unfortunately stalls things in terms of meaningful objectives, but it's always got to be, what do we have, what can do reliably, and try to make something happen, because if they just wait and wait and wait, more neutrals may go the way, and if they wait for Drake, a Rift Herald summon around that time may force their hand anyway.
Bono's still out on the map, still has his ultimate available. Where will he look to make use of that? He's heading down towards the bottom side. Some pings immediately right onto Bono. So it looks like Jin Air have a good idea of where he could be at this moment in time, looking to use a Rift Herald and unlock the Lucian Thresh, perhaps.
If he wants that charge to get gold, he's going to have to do it soon, and recently the meta has been doubling down on that. They know about the Gromp start here. They get Root.
Boy, they get him, and the Paranoia comes in, and the Ezreal has nowhere to go, doesn't even bother flashing. There's no point, as 2 kills go their way. They could use the Rift Herald now.
Oh, but it's worse, Valdez. They don't have to. They can just do it without it and use it after.
And that they will. They're going to get all the plates anyway. And Hanwha Life say, we're here to play finally in game number 2. Game number 1 was a little bit of a, hey, we're still asleep, you know, early morning game for us pro gamers.
Solo gold to Songyun as well. Just a disaster in the bottom side. Everything goes better than expected, and you know what the MVP is? It's that ward. The ward down there to get the hook onto Root. Everything falls into place. Everything falls into apart, and if they get the charge here at before 14 minutes, that would be such a crazy gold turnaround. They won't.
They're trying.
They were close.
Oh, that one minion blocked him.
No.
Oh.
Get owned.
I was rooting for Hanwha Life. But no, not going to happen as the hook happens, but they're not going to overextend in this case. Shelly goes down. More gold to the side of Hanwha Life after their bottom lane push. Should be feeling pretty nice.
If somehow that happened 15 seconds earlier, it would have been more than most Baron buff power plays that are good. Like, it would have been a great Baron buff power play just from a solid gank into Rift Herald usage. And that's what happens early in the game, and that means you get those big ticket damage items that doesn't go to late game. All about the ward here placed, it looks like, what, 30 seconds earlier, 20 seconds earlier? They profit off it in the biggest way possible. Tempt wants to guarantee a second kill so that all the plates will come crashing down. I don't tweet sad plane anymore, unfortunately, because of games like this. But the sad plane, I mean, that's what we saw originally. The glad plane was a ruse.
It was just a fake, just trying to get us to believe in game number 1, but we're struggling to believe now as Jin Air, well, they want to make something of the only objective they have. They have 1 Ocean, they'd like 2.
TP ward for Sion being zoomed out on there. You can see it on the top right of your screen. Here it comes.
Oh, yep. There it is, right behind everybody as, oh boy, here comes Paranoia. Didn't see that Sion, did ya? Behind everybody as how many kills are they going to pick up is the only question. 1 goes down. They got another knock up onto the Urgot, but it seems that 2 overall is going to be enough as they move into the Ocean Dream.
Was such a clear play. Thank you for the zoom out there, observers. Made it easy for everyone to anticipate. Tal comes in, Jin Air goes down. Marang's looking for less than a 50-50.
Will they get themselves into trouble? They're flashing forward. They want to take this fight up against the Sion. They do get Tal. And at least that's a little bit of something on the backside for them to actually get some gold and feel somewhat happy.
Tal got the control, amusingly. In zombie form. Gonna watch the replay, and they did see it, but they saw it too late, unfortunately, there. And that's the second ward that's been god tier. Let's assume it was put down by the Thresh and give the MVP to Thresh for 2 wards, and yeah, everything just falls apart. Kellen dies as well. The duo lane has died a lot, and that was with 5th pick, remember, to try to get them the hell away from the Victor that was looking like a bad situation. 2 deaths for the Ezreal, 2 double kills on the bot lane, so not a lot, but of course it adds up. Out of the 6 kills, 4 has been the bot lane. Hanwha Life pull out, and only casualty is Tal, as it seems like he was a bit abandoned by his team at the end.
Yeah, someone has to be the sacrifice as Key is trying to hook his teammate.
He's testing his limits, Valdez.
He's having a bit of fun as the game rolls along.
Well, let's watch his next hook on an enemy and see if it works out.
Yeah. What I'm thinking is it was a visual bug as he was trying to hook the bush, is my guess. I'm gonna tri-brush.
I'm going to instead assume that he was just...
Okay.
Thresh has a 450 gold bounty. He's the only person with a bounty.
He's 203. He's popping off.
He's fed.
Someone called Doa. This guy's really bloodthirsty.
Supportal combat. Bloodthirsty support, liking it.
He's doing it. As well, you have double demolish. Might as well use it here in the mid lane. They do pick it up.
Map is entirely owned by the team with the global and the hard engage advantage. That's bad. Linderong.
Well, I mean, it's good for them.
It is good for them, but bad for Linderong as well, who may actually lose in CS to a Sion. We'll wait and see. Right now, it's neck and neck. He's going Lichbane. I guess it could be Iceborne Gold. That's probably the more realistic one. But the armor will be useful for the Nocturne matchup. Sungyun comes to top side. He's almost got his 2 items, and it's going to be a lot slower for Root, who, as we noted, been slowed down a lot.
Yeah, he's still working on a second item here as we're near 20 minutes. I assume he will go back and get it, unless he gets denied by Sungyun. Root's angry, you can tell. He's trying to get those extra procs.
Oh, Sungyun with the emotes on the corner of the screen.
Yeah.
Having his fun. Do notice he hasn't gone for the Viper School of Thought, the 3 points, and Doran's Ring start on the Lucian. That's an acquired taste. I went on pro builds. People were trying it, so.
Yeah.
Viper leading the way on that one. Here's the dive. It's all alone until...
Here we go. We got Lissandra. Nice knockback, actually, by Malrong, but that means that he's going to be the one that dies most likely. Nice stopwatch, though, keeps him in this one for a moment as, oh boy, Grace, that one is going to sail wide as he's not really able to take anyone out. Should be just a second kill to the side of Hanwha Life. They will eventually take him out. As trying to make something of nothing as Jin Air and Hanwha Life pick up 2 more.
And that's without Sion there to just be a frontliner. No teleports on the bot lane. They continue to trade, but no trading necessary for Hanwha Life on the top of the map. It gets them Baron Vision, and now we're zooming in.
At this point, they just want some more kills. TP to the bottom side just to kill a Victor. Not going to happen, though.
Going all in onto an Ezreal is always a bit foolhardy, but they do it anyway. It's with Temp's timing here, and I like the fact that Temp and Bono finding synergies they never could on BBQ Olivers. These guys should have some inbuilt synergy, but you would hope it was from scrims because the stage games were not the best in the past. We continue on in the play, and it's just too easy in the front. I believe that was actually Key using his minion dematerializer just to get a heal on his ally as he felt low. That's bro tier status to use a dematerializer this late in the game in combat. Works out pretty well. They back away from there. The gold lead, it's not silly season, but it is 5,000. And Hanwha Life just need to start their Baron setup because that seems like the last dot before maybe Jin Air have no way back into game number 2.
Yeah. It was a little bit mean to Grace in the fight, but it was actually a really nicely timed stopwatch that stopped the Disdain into Fear Beyond Death combo that all Urgot sent. Fans of League that have seen an Urgot play know the combination, so he stopped it with a stopwatch and denied it entirely. As Grace was just trying to buffer it there, but did not happen. It was a nice play by Tempt once again, who finally is finding some confidence up against a weaker team.
It actually was Lichbane after all. On the Victor to go on a 90-degree turn there. Wouldn't have expected that, especially with Magic Resist already done. There was a time when Lichbane Victor could be a thing, but didn't think it would be this game. Not sure if Ice Bomb Gauntlet would change the result, as Bono takes down the Ocean Drake. That's a freebie. Feels like most of the neutrals are, in fact, Hanwha Life owned. Tal is very aggressively pushing, as here's the conga line of Jin Air. They're trying to kill whoever they can find.
You can see that Malrang is very good at cosplaying the Xin Zhao. Whenever he plays him, he only goes forward, only in the direction of the enemy team. Very aggressive, even when he's behind. Knows the power of Xin Zhao is eventually going to slow down, wants to make something of it.
Trying to get something. Jin Air need to control somewhere on the map, otherwise it will all go the way of Hanwha Life. And right now the Baron is seeming like something too tricky for them to hold on to. Pushing up here, Hanwha Life, deep vision at worst, kills at best. He needs to be respected as we know, and Tempt is lying in wait.
Trying to get the sneaky Lissandra played there through the wall, but was spotted out. Might just go for Kennen here as, okay, into the back line. Tempt is going to knock down the Victor. No big follow-up in damage as everybody was on the Alistair, but the rest of them are going to go down as Tempt gets extremely low. They're trying to take out one more guy, but Grace actually from downtown is able to pick off the Nocturne, so nice sniperino from him. Makes something of the play.
Hanwha Life not actually able to fight between turrets or near an inner turret, with Sion tanking at the front, with they're actually having their DPS is able to do damage. Sungyun was zoned from damage, and Tempt's a mid-range mage. Watch the replay here. We dropped the overlays to show you this one. Think about the vision here. Think about Sungyun, who's got 2 items. He's got the items every Lucian player dreams of. They would love to spawn with the Black Cleaver and Blade the Ruin King. He starts up, he opens up, it's ulted Alistair. Not the guy I wanted. He opens up with his ult, he has to turn on to Urgot, he flashes away. A lot of health bars are wasted, Temps and Bono's in particular, before Sungyun can do any relevant damage. That's what happens when you choose the wrong battlefield. And Hanwha Life's kind of first small mistake comes at 23 minutes.
Yeah, props to Grace in his first Urgot game of this split to come out and get that snipe. Well done, especially after the fight in the top side. Actually has the 2 kills for his team. Just Urgot things.
Key, he's not going to make the same mistake that Jin Air did. Puts down a control ward that would spot and then changes to a second one. It's both control wards he has, but he now knows Jin Air have no vision on Baron, and if they're going to get vision, they're going to have to actually walk to that side of the map, which they can actually survey in front of them. That is how you make those plays. Something that was lost without having the ability to have 3 control wards on a support, because before you could place those 2 control wards and move one.
Yeah.
But now all you can do is guarantee that Baron is clear.
That he does. He's going to have the help of his friends to also get vision down. They know where the ward is. They sneak over to the left side. They're going to be clearing out as much as possible.
Scene of the crime, but if Tal can actually speedway through to where Malrang is standing, they can actually make a move here. Seems like Hanwha Life being more respectful than last time.
And Jin Air too. They're all just grouping up in this one brush and saying, well, we have no control. We cannot get caught out. We just have to stick in there and hope that Hanwha Life make a mistake.
Possible, Valdez, possible, but that is a really nice place for Sion to come.
Oh boy, trying to get around the wall. They're going to find an Alistair again in the front line with this ultimate available. This time, can they kill him? is the question. They finally get him down with the follow-up from Tempt and enough damage for it to scale away. They do take out Kellen alone, but that is something.
Alster might be on the endangered list, but everyone else had no threat on them. I thought Key might actually flash over the Raptor wall and hook, because someone was going to get hit by it, but they don't want to fight again in a spot where they don't have vision. They'll take the Alistair, but it's just an Alistair kill, and that's a good news story for Jinner. They were able to trade pretty evenly in the first dive, and now they only lose their Alistair. If you look at summoners used otherwise, no one actually has to use a summoner on Jinner. They give up their cow, they move back. Nothing else is wasted. So let's see what the reload is, because actually the last 5 minutes have been much kinder than the first 20 to Jinner Greenwings.
The hook there from Key was extremely close to getting another person as well. Not sure if he could have really gone in there alone, especially after they burned so much onto the Alistair. Might have been a little bit too deep, but just a scary moment that Root just barely was able to dodge. We do have a Mountain Drake spawning now, and Tal is in a fantastic position to make another play happen.
They don't know about it either. They know now.
And here comes the TP anyway. This time he gets the Ezreal in the front line, but he is able to get over the wall. And no ultimate for Kellen means he's going to go down. Can Tempt survive? Is going to be able to ult himself. Flash on in from Bono, and Tempt's going to be just fine. Bono going very, very deep into the back line. He's still going to, he does go down to the victor in the end, but it should be an ace to the side of Hanwha, as only Nocturne will pay for it.
And because of the timer and the pretty decent death timers, it might be Baron anyway. Bono goes down. Hanwha Life once again going to be safety first. They actually give up on going for a 4-man Baron. TP is being worn on 3 members of Jinner, so probably the right choice, even if at first glance you might thought it was a defensive one. They take down the mountain, they clean up the kills. The kill score tells a story, 14-3.
It's not often you see 14 kills in 27 minutes by one team, but Hanwha able to make it happen here up against Jinner. As you mentioned, they take the safe play out. They get the Mountain Drake. They get the 2 outer turrets here. I guess you call them inner turrets. As taking one step at a time. You're already so far ahead. 9,000 gold. We'll take a look at how this happens again.
It's a good ward by Kellen, but there's definitely no ambiguity about what type of Korean barbecue Hanwha Life are having tonight. It's beef. They take down Kellen instantly, 4th death of the game, and from there, they can just fight front to back. Nocturne can dive. There's no peel left for the Ezreal, and self-peel only goes so far. They dive in, and Bono, look, he's trying to keep people around, so yes, he goes down to the ultimate from the victor, but otherwise, it's clean stuff from Hanwha Life Esports. The item leads are getting crazy, and there's a lot of people now with bounties. It's not only the Thresh.
Everybody's joining on in, as not much that Malron can do in that fight either, as he was just struggling to stay alive, probably just an ultimate, and then to his death. Alongside that damage. But now with the Mountain Drake, Hanwha Life do have an easier shot at taking some of these objectives, namely Baron. We'll see when they decide to make that move.
Let's see where Sion is, because he's probably going to force it.
Oh, he does miss, but in goes Bono anyway, and they get the hook onto Xin Zhao, which is going to be more than enough. They get the 1 kill, they get the jungler, and maybe now they go to the Baron.
That's 3rd time in a row they get the pick, but the first time they're getting the jungler, they're actually baiting rather than losing the pan here, and they're trying to put some visual clutter around so that they see Jinner, but the face check is late. The smite is gone. There's no unsealed spellbook unless Grace is getting in, and Grace doesn't seem so interested right now.
Yeah, not quite. He's picked up his heal. He's going to keep it for himself. And there it is. The Baron does go the way of Hanwha Life, as they'll be happy to pick up a nice little 2-0 victory if they do eventually roll this into one. As, you know, they were struggling the last couple of games up against Griffin and Sandbox. This is definitely a bit of a breather for them.
Remember, it is Linderong against his old organization here. He was on Hanwha Life Esports as their top laner last year. His old duo in crime, their jungler, not in the LCK anymore, is Sungwon, wherever he is. We hope he's having a good night here, but Linderong, unfortunately, not having a great one. The Lich Bane, a bit of a head scratcher, to be honest, but again, we were mentioning that perhaps it didn't matter too much. Happy to get back to lane is the Sion. That's some pretty good drifting, but no minion's going to be decimated by the unstoppable onslaught. They push up in multiple lanes with Baron, TP up on Tal, and we kind of just wait for Hanwha Life to confirm an end time for their inevitable 2-0 victory.
Certainly looks that way, unless someone on the side of Hanwha is going to give them an early Lunar New Year present, as they're just pushing all the lanes at this moment in time, like the timing of it as well. Very matched up. You have two cannons now on the side of Hanwha in the bottom side, which is the main lane they're going to be looking to push.
Watching the picture-in-picture, liking this one here. Another Speedway, he's coming bot lane, he's looking for the game!
Oh, he's going all the way around, gets in the backside, finds another cow. Somehow, some way, always lands on a Kellen, but huge damage coming out from the Lissandra as well. Well, guys, this is going to be good night to Jin Air, and hello to Hanwha Life as they will pick up their 2-0 victory.
Even 10 cleans up the final kill under the turret. He'll go down. Everyone press their stasis button.
Oh, boy.
Now, that was a cool play by Tal. I thought he was going to slowly chip away. We get a highlight reel drift, and we get the end of the game.
Really good stuff from the side of Hanwha. Looks so much cleaner in game number 2. They win this one 20-4 in kills, so got to be happy about this. And Hanwha, definitely a team that has some attitude and willing to show it there at the end of the game as well, with all the stasis being used, showing off their cool poses. As a cool 2-0 victory goes to this team. Bono looking pretty happy as well.
And at the end of the day, Valdez, what was our assignment for Hanwha Life today? You're against Jin Air. It's going to be about your performance. Find some form. You've had some tough losses in recent memory to Griffin and Sandbox. Right now, undefeated. In game number 1, definite failure on that one. You're going to have to resubmit, we said, on their first essay. But the resubmit is what we wanted. Proactive champions. They went for some very proactive builds, double Dark Seal, instead of something like a Doran's Ring and a Cloth Armor on the first back to push around the Lucian and the Lissandra. And some nice moments in the closing, so they close it fast. They make some good moves. That's what Hanwha Life need to show against opposition they're expected to beat. And that will mean that in their next matchup, when they play, we'll see if they actually have this form, this second game, to trade off.
You guys could notice that Grace taking this a little bit harder than some of his teammates, struggled to get out of his chair. Probably didn't notice that Hanwha Life had come over for the handshake. Eventually got there, but it was head in hands and more sadness on the side of Grace, who you mentioned was one of these longtime Jin Air players. And just continuing the streak of unfortunate losses on the side of Jin Air.
Everyone talks about how on a winning team, you can paper over problems. You're winning, so it doesn't matter that some of your calls are a bit off or there's some issues. Winning solves all. Remember, the opposite is true, where losing doesn't solve any issues, where doubt is going to be pretty much present for all of 2019 and for all of 2018 for Jin Air. It's a long time since they were even an outside chance of going far in the LCK, and that is really hard. My hearts go out to the Jin Air players, whether they are new to Jin Air or whether they are joining the squad have been around the squad for longer. No one longer than 1 year's duration on Jin Air, and that's Grace. Nova 1 split, Grace 2. Jin Air go down again. Who's to say how low they can fall? It seems like already you would close the betting market on them being 10th. Maybe relegation you close to the betting market. I guess there's a chance, but realistically, the difference between Jin Air and the next team is really big.
The thing about relegation is, it's funny we're already talking about it, but it's hard to ignore, right? We're not going to beat around the bush for you guys. I'm sure you're even talking about it amongst yourselves, but are there two challenger teams that are better than Jin Air right now is another question you have to ask, as eventually Jin Air will find themselves in that relegation tournament if they don't win some games sometime soon.
Well, we have a Challengers expert joining the cast tomorrow. You can ask recent winner, LS. Congratulations to BBQ Olivers for taking down their opponents 2-1 today. I believe it was APK Prince. Because I know that VSG is super good, so that's one team for sure. The former GC Busan, who have looked very impressive in what I've seen in Challengers, and Jin Air, unfortunately, I hope their scrims against Challenger teams are going well, because the stage games against LCK teams have been a struggle. This is what we wanted from Hanwha Life, though, again, to talk about the victors here. Played aggressive, were decisive, some really nice TP plays from Tal, who was, let's admit it, let's remember something, Valdez. His TPs on SKT were often pretty woeful, especially in spring season. And here he comes in, very nice TPs. Sort of thing where it feels like it's not even something we have to discuss. the issues for Hanwha Life were minimal outside of game number 1's draft, maybe amplifying some of their mistakes.
Tal has improved a lot. You really can't fault him for that. He's definitely a much more improved player, and it's great to see that he's finding success on a new organization. So I'm glad you point him out. Props to him. And funnily enough, they're playing up against SKT next on Sunday. So he will have to go up against, his former organization in SKT. We'll have to wait and see for that one. Should be Atlas and LS for that cast.
Could be competitive too. We're not really sure where SKT is at after the loss to Griffin.
True.
You come in heavily expecting an SKT win based on reasons, but those reasons have been, kind of great barometers and poor barometers in the spring season, so it could be competitive, and if it isn't, either way, I think we learn a lot in SKT versus Hanwha. So I'm liking the fact that that's one of our last matches before what is going to be a long Lunar New Year break. So about 10 days off from LCK,
yeah.
Sunday until the following Wednesday when we get more LCK. This is it for me and my particular stint before the Lunar New Year. So guys, have a safe break wherever you are in the world. If you do get to celebrate some time off, the LCK, though, will rain on. I'll be in Twitch chat having some fun in the next couple of days. And we still have the closing of this show. Speaking of shows, the Game 2 show was one-sided and quintessential Hanwha Life.
And Linderong sitting there saying, hey, look at my damage. Isn't Lichbane a great item to pick up? Like, this was a good idea. Well, probably not, but either way, that point is lost as it will be forgotten eventually.
Does our boy
can't continue winning?
Does our boy Key win the MVP? I really hope so.
Yeah, I mean,
he had a really good start. Tal, I think, could be in with a discussion there. I want to see who the voters are going to put out there. Guys, if you guys are wondering, at the Riot Stadium, no votes for casters. OGN had votes for casters for the longest time. SmoTV did not, and right now, no votes for casters. So that is the way it's going to be for the foreseeable future. So your guess is as good as ours as to the MVP of this game.
Yeah, still a little bit salty that Pawn didn't get it in the first series.
I agree. I agree.
But, again, we don't get the votes, so maybe we could have pushed it that way. But either way, I mean, you mentioned Key, maybe Tali had a couple of nice plays on the Scion. Tempt, once again, great play on the Lissandra. I don't think he did even go down in this game, so may just end up getting the MVP based off the fact that he was something like 7-0-5.
I'm happy that you're not handing out the awards. This sounds like from your justifications that you're just a participation award for everyone most of the time.
Well, I mean,
you all did so good.
At least in this game where it's like domination and everybody is kind of playing a good game,
you could be a good Little League coach. I could see you being a great team player.
Maybe for hockey, not for baseball.
That's your sport,
that,
right?
None of that.
Not many people know that. That's your sport.
Yeah, I'm the hockey guy. There's someone else out here who enjoys it. Not sure. Forget, but it is going to be Key as we can agree on him and his early plays in wards. You'll see the Vision wards were 22 in this game picked up, and they certainly helped out making some of these plays.
Grace's 200 IQ play, if there was no Thresh, became a 20 IQ play when Thresh was there to punish it. And it's not what you want. It's not what you want, Valdez. It's not enough IQ, and unfortunately from there, Hanwha Life could just kind of press their buttons at their whim, and it was a lot of just surrendering on the side of Jin-Air. They didn't have items to fight back. They were outnumbered most of the time, and paranoia takes you real far. And it didn't take too far for Jin-Air to just be too far behind in gold, and unfortunately, they go down, break the limit, break the losing streak. Well, good news to you, Key fan. You've been able to do it. Thankfully, the hashtags there don't include Jin-Air.
At the bottom, it said we won with the little key. It was like very light pink.
Do you remember
color.
that one super Key fan with the key to victory signs?
Yeah, yeah.
They were very talented. It might be the same person. We don't know.
Probably is. It was a very good drawing of a key. Much better than I could have done. I'm not very good at drawing.
Fun fact, I don't have keys to my house. We have keypads in Korea.
True.
So
yes.
Gets over that problem.
For sure. Well, either way, guys, I'm going to hand it to Ji-sun, who will translate the interview.
Thank you very much, guys. Today we're going to be joined by Tempt and Key for today's MVP interview. It's your first MVP interview, Key and also Tempt. And your first starting game also for Tempt. Yeah, this is the first series that I started the game as a mid laner. It's a big relief that I got the victory.
1세트 때 시작하자마자 탑 미드를 수업을 하셨어요. 어떤 전략이었나요?
There was top and mid rotation in the very early game. That wasn't our first intention, but Tall just maybe suggested, what about switching the lane? Yeah, we had a good matchup against each other, so that's why we ended up going for lane swaps.
그리고 2세트 때도 리산드라를 꺼내셨단 말이에요.
Game 2, you also played Lissandra. All your confidence on playing it. Lissandra is a good champion, that's why.
네, 알겠습니다. 그리고 첫 초반에 이 상윤 선수랑 같이 바텀 다이브 킬을 당하셨는데 그때 조금
The
위기감을 느끼지
enemy
않으셨나요?
tried some bot lane dive, and it could have been very much of a suffering for you guys.
한대 쳤으면은 괜찮았는데 제가 안 쳐가지고 이제 꼬여가지고 상현이 형이 블라디로 이제 2스킬을 찍었는데
Well,
그걸 보고
actually,
상대가 이제 잘 캐치해가지고
we weren't really good at counting the minion waves to level up, so Sangyun just learned E on the level 2, so we were actually in a very dangerous situation when the enemy tried the diving, but we were just trying to cheer out after the dive. And Sangyun was like, this is bad. That was all about his comments.
그랬던 것 같아요.
네, 말을 잇지 못하는 상황이었던 것
I guess he was really
같습니다.
speechless at that moment.
코칭 부스에서 상윤
But
선수가
we saw you
앉아있고
guys
감독님이
and
서
Sangyun
계신
especially
장면이
sitting at the coaching
인상적이었는데
booth,
원래
and the head
감독님이
coach
이렇게
was
서서
standing
피드백을
up.
하시나요?
아 그렇진 않은데 이제 상현이 형이 오늘 조금
Well, Sangyun,
피곤한가 봐요. 그래서 좀
he was feeling a
앉아있고
bit
싶었는데
tired,
또
so he wanted to
본의
sit
아니게
down.
감독님이 또 서 계셔가지고 네 그게
And
찍혀가지고 좀
unluckily,
의미가
the
있어요.
fans got to find out that the one sitting down was Sangyun and the head coach was standing up, so there can be some misunderstanding, but that wasn't our
네,
intention.
알겠습니다. 자, 1세트에서 2세트 넘어가면서 하나생명이 또 완벽하게
moving on to
다른
game
경기력을
2,
보여줬습니다.
Hana pulled up a very
초반부터
improved performance
공격적이었는데
compared to
어떤
game
다른
1. It was very
전략이 있었나요?
aggressive.
1세트에 좀 힘들었다 보니까
Well, game 1 we did
그냥
suffer.
1세트 이기고 2세트에는
So after winning the first set, we had the feedbacks that we should play it a little bit more aggressively.
네, 감독님께서 그런 말씀을 하셨고 팀원들끼리는 어떤 얘기
And what kind of
나누셨나요?
feedback went back and forth between the teammates? We just said, let's
네,
win.
사실 이기는 게 가장 중요하죠. 그러면 키 선수,
And Ki.
상윤 선수와 함께 바텀에서 활약 중이신데
It
키
has
선수의
been very long
콘텐츠가
since you
계속
played
배제당하고
together with
있습니다.
Sangyun,
아쉽진
but
않으신가요?
all the enemy players are
제가 탐켄치를
target
좀
banning
초반에
Tomkins
좀
out of
많이
you.
이겼는데 그거에 좀 많이 지기도 했거든요.
Well,
그래서 저는
actually I did win, but at the same time I did lose a lot on Tomkins, but
감사한 것 같아요.
it doesn't really worth that much of a ban card, but it's really thankful to seeing my opponents banning out Tomkins from me.
네, 그만큼 또 키 선수의 탐켄치가 인정을 받고 있다는 말이겠죠. 그리고 상윤 선수의 LCK 통산
상윤,
1000킬 이제 얼마 남지
he's really
않았습니다.
close
오늘까지
to
990
hitting the
킬을
1000 kill
달성했는데
at LCK.
상윤 선수가
It's
아무래도
already
경기 동안에
992.
조금 더 그런 모습이
Is he
있으신가요?
aware of that record?
일단은 오늘이 이제 20킬이 남았었는데
Today he had
제가 봤을
20
때는
kills
그런
left,
말은 별로 없었고
but he didn't really mention about
상현이 형
it.
생각에도 오늘 어차피 20킬 못 채우니까
Well, I think Sangyun already knew that it was really hard to pick up 20 kills today, so I think he was just concentrating on gameplays.
다음 경기에 노려보도록 하겠습니다. 이제 다음 경기가 SK
And your next
전입니다.
opponent will be SK Telecom this weekend.
엄청난 팀인데요. 각오 한 말씀 부탁드릴게요.
Any last message?
설날전 마지막 경기인데
That is our last series before the Lunar New Year
제가 기분
break,
좋게
so I hope we can pick up the victory and
네,
have some
어머니가
great time with my
맛있는
family.
음식 해주시면 좋겠습니다. 키 선수는요?
What about you, Ki?
일단 저희가 설날 전에 마지막 경기잖아요.
Yeah, it's the
그거를 이제 이기고
last series
진짜
before the
좋은
Chinese
다른
New Year,
데가
so I really want to get the victory there and have a great time with my family, so
무조건 이길 수 있도록 열심히 하겠습니다.
I'm gonna practice hard to prepare for that matchup.
새해 인사드리면 이제 설이니까 설 인사드리면 너무너무
I
좋을
hope you
것
guys
같습니다.
can pick
오늘의
up the victory
인터뷰
on your
여기서
next series, and this will be the end of the
마치고요.
interview with
안녕하면서
Tent
끝내겠습니다.
and Ki
여러분,
from Hanwha Life
안녕.
Esports. Bye!
Bye.
Bye,
We're back.
Ji-sun.
Bye, Ji-sun. We'll see you in a bit. They said it was their last match. Can confirm they did say that multiple times in Korean, and I see on my schedule that they have a match on Sunday. So not 100% sure.
No, the SKT matched their last match on Sunday.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe that's what they were trying to say. Either way, they do have that matchup, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, with that win, which honestly we did kind of expect, Hanwha Life will stay in the top 5 here. As you can see, it's kind of the Griffin and Sandbox show. One of those teams will be losing tomorrow, where I will return with LS. That will be our second match of tomorrow.
Money where your mouth is. Is there 3 games in that series?
I think I'd have to say no. I think Griffin will probably take the 2-0. Like, Sandbox are good, don't get me wrong, but it's Griffin after all. And I did make a tweet that said, essentially, it's Griffin and everybody else. Seems like they're just multiple tiers above everybody else. And that was kind of reflected on Thursday, yesterday, of Griffin versus SKT, where, again, it was not very close in 2 games. Would expect a similar result against Sandbox, but very excited to see if Sandbox, with their very unique style of drafting, can they pull the rug out from underneath Griffin and somehow impress us tomorrow? Would be awesome.
And I'm with you. I think 2-0 Griffin, but I'm biased. I want to see Griffin trip, because otherwise you worry that it will just be plain sailing the entire, which is a cool thing in of itself, but it's always good when you have contenders, and Sandbox would firm that with even just a game win. First series is so interesting as well. Where's KT at, and who is FLICKR even playing?
Yeah, I know. You never really know. Where's Spirit going next time? You never really know, guys. So it's going to be fun. We'll see you tomorrow for more LCK. Thank you for joining us tonight.
You take me higher when I feel low. Make my world brighter when I'm alone. I keep on rolling, all with your fuel. You're like my gasoline that makes my dream come true. Is this it? Together we'll be winning. With you I'm excited. Make my soul sing. I'm feeling feather light like a feather, white like the wind. I fly together to where we never been. You taught me loving without all the pain. You're all I need. I'm feeling feather light.